What is going on, guys? We are back with another great video, and this one I've been meaning to put it out for a while now. Basically going to be covering a bit of a controversial topic in the fishing community, and that's going to be that of targeting bedding bass. Basically targeting bass that are protecting their fry. Like I said, a bit of a controversial topic, as some people feel that you should not target these fish at all. But anywho, we're not going to get into that debate today. Just really going to focus on some of those techniques for you guys. Some of those things that you guys potentially do. And given that this is summer, not too relevant for you guys, but just always a great way to learn here and see some of this underwater footage and up close, really learn some of these techniques, guys, and hopefully apply that for you guys next season. What I will say is that for those of us that do target these bedding fish, you have to practice your best fish handling practices. And by that, I mean just getting those fish caught and released as quickly as possible, minimal downtime out of the water, and also don't breadcrumb your fish, guys. Really try to handle these fish as good as possible. Nice hook set, get them out of the water, take a nice pick, get them back in the water as soon as possible. And for those of you guys that like to keep fish, I can say this is really not the time of year to keep fish. When you keep a bedding bass, that truly is hurting the future of your fishery. I mean, each bass is guarding hundreds, thousands of fry, and I mean the ones that do eventually survive is very minimal. So all I can say is practice your best fish handling practices, and definitely don't keep these fish, guys. As always though, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Stay tuned.
In today's video, I'm just going to be breaking down some of this drone footage and breaking down some of that underwater footage, and really just highlighting some of those bed fishing techniques and some of those things that you may not notice when you're fishing from the shore. Now, first off, I think it's super important to be able to tell the difference between a bedding fish that is fired up and locked on a bed and a bedding fish that is easily spooked and uninterested. Now, with this first example, I'm just going to let you guys guess what this fish's initial reaction is to the bait. Now that to me says that this fish is spooked and uninterested. But honestly, this is something that you guys are going to have to judge on a case-to-case basis. I feel personally that bass behavior is different. Just like humans, some of them are more angry, more fired up than others. And here's another example of a bass that is easily spooked. First cast, this fish, really no hesitation, just kind of swims off the bed. And don't get me wrong, with these past two fish, that doesn't mean that you can't catch those fish, but you may just have to put in more time in that area. Typically, when a fish swims off in that way, it'll always come back in 5-10 minutes, but it's really just depending on how much time you're willing to put in there. Here in my next example, I'm going to show you a much more fired up fish. You can just tell off the bat with that first cast that this fish is angry. And with this fish, I also kind of want to start highlighting a bed fishing technique. Typically, I like to alternate between passing in front of that fish's face and basically trying to physically hit that fish. But like I said, you can only do that once you know that that fish is locked in that way that it won't leave the area. So right now I'm approaching this fish from the back. And again, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Approaching this fish from the back area just like that, and then getting that reaction strike. And if not, you get them on the dragging right in front of their face, just like I did right there. To expand on this technique, I've got some underwater footage. And basically, like I said, I'm just alternating between dragging that bait in front of the fish's face, getting his attention, and then physically hitting this fish on the side of its body. I have so much luck, just like this, getting the reaction strike. Just like that. And then here in our next example, we're going to take a look at this even further. Alright, and moving on, like I said, this is something that you're going to have to judge on a case-by-case basis. This is actually my first cast on this fish. No hesitation. I literally didn't even have to touch the bedding area to get a reaction from this fish. It was just an extremely pissed off reaction strike from that fish. Here's another example of a fish that is fired up and locked on a bed. Just notice this fish's initial behavior when I take this cast and drag the bait past him. No hesitation, immediate swipe, and following the bait. When you see this kind of behavior, it's literally only a matter of time until you catch those fish. Alright, and looking at another bed fishing technique here, I actually currently have my bait in the water already before the fish has returned to the bed, and that's when I start to move the bait. Now I've got this fish's attention, and I'm moving this bait slowly. Basically, just each time that this fish inches forward, I'm inching my bait forward slightly. I find that I have the most luck when I move that bait once I have this bass's direct eye contact. Alright, here I have another video just basically highlighting that technique even further. It's really just about getting into that bedding area and not moving that bait until you know that you have your bait in that bass's line of sight. Right now I'm not even moving my bait until I can see that bass checking out the bedding area. Right now you're going to see this fish checking it out, and that's when I move the bait. And that's how you're going to trigger a reaction from these fish. And last but not least, I just have one more example of this technique. Basically, I've got this bedding fish right there that initially is going to swim off when I cast onto its bed. There I make my cast. The fish shows some interest, but it swims away. Now I'm leaving my bait here in the area until I see the fish look towards this area. That's when I'm going to move the bait. The fish looks this way. I pop the bait. Pop it again. And that's all it takes, guys.